Now, with Brian Wilson live in Charlotte, this is Common Sense coverage of the Democratic National Convention with Brian and Brian, sponsored by the Media Research Center. 105.9 FM and AM 630.
WMAL. Good morning, everybody. Brian Wilson coming to you live from Charlotte, North Carolina, the Time Warner Cable Arena, where tonight, despite the earlier plans to have the final night somewhere else, the president will come to this arena and accept the nomination to be reelected and give a big speech. As we mentioned, it was supposed to be over at the Bank of America Stadium, but late yesterday they made a change on that. We'll talk about that more a little bit later. My friend Brian Neiman is holding down the fort in D.C. Good morning, Mr. Neiman.
Good morning, Mr. Wilson. It was a long night watching Bill Clinton's speech. It was, as it was on the Chiron just a second ago, long and strong. I think a lot of Democrats liked it, but it was a long speech.
47 minutes from start to finish. 49 minutes from the time he walked out to the time he walked off.
We are pleased to have David Bossie on the line, president of Citizens United, executive producer of two new documentaries, The Hope and the Change and the Occupy Unmasked. David, good morning. How are you?
Well, good morning. I wish I hadn't had to stay up so late to listen to Bill Clinton, but I'm doing all right. I'm already at BWI flying to Charlotte.
Oh, fantastic. Well, thanks for getting up early. I know you had a plane to catch anyway, so it's great to talk to you. What did you think of the former president's speech last night?
You know, it's going to be very interesting to see what the pundits think of it. I'll be honest with you. I was looking forward to his speech to see how they were setting up the next 60 days of this election. Mm-hmm. I was looking forward to seeing Bill Clinton set the stage to go after the undecideds and independents. And he didn't do that. I was blown away by, quite frankly, the harshness of his rhetoric and the attacks on Mitt Romney and on the Republican record and on Paul Ryan by name. Bill Clinton was a perfect tool, in my opinion, to reach out to those undecideds, whether they're Republican, Democrat, or independents, and say, you know what, give Barack Obama another look. You have to stick with him, stay the course, and have a positive message. And instead, last night, I think Bill Clinton went right to the heart of what the Democrats need to do, which is turn out their base in huge numbers, and that's their path to victory.
All right, now, here in Charlotte, David, a lot of talk about trying to overturn the Citizens United ruling from the Supreme Court. Now, for those who may not know, this was a ruling that said that basically political speech, political advertising is protected speech under the First Amendment. Justice Kennedy in the majority opinion wrote, if the First Amendment has any force, it prohibits Congress from fining or jailing citizens or associations of citizens for simply engaging in political speech. They say they want to overturn that ruling. What say you?
Well, I say, first of all, the First Amendment is the First Amendment because without it, you have none of the others. The founding fathers of our country protected our speech, all speech, as the single most important thing in America. Political speech is the single most protected speech under the First Amendment. So you have to protect it at all costs. And really, the answer is if you disagree with the speech of somebody, the answer is more speech, not regulating those you disagree with, because that is a very slippery slope that you can go down if you don't protect everyone's speech. Look, I disagree with people on the left. I disagree with Michael Moore's film style. I disagree with Bill Clinton's characterizations were last night. But I believe in his right to say it. You know, I fundamentally believe the American people are incredibly smart and make good decisions. They know what information is good, and they can decipher it. More speech is always better.
All right, David, you were talking about what would the message come out of this convention, and we're especially trying to get that undecided vote. And Bill Clinton's message last night, it seems to me that the message is, well, maybe you're not better off than you were 4 years ago, but things are getting better. We just need more time to make things really better. Now, in your documentary, The Hope and the Change, I know you've talked to a lot of people who voted for Barack Obama in 2008. Do you think that, people will buy that message from the president and from the campaign?
Well, look, that's the $1 million question right there. Do people buy the fact that because they like him, and he is a likable man, meaning Barack Obama. He's a likable guy. Because you feel like you can connect with him as your average American, is that going to buy him that credibility to sell that idea, which is 4 years was not long enough, and trust me, follow me to go in this direction. And I just don't know, as we sit here today, I would say that that he's hard pressed to do that, because his approval, job disapproval rating is so overwhelming. His negatives are so overwhelming. I don't know that on Election Day, if you're an undecided, which is such a small number this year, if you are an undecided, why are you undecided if you're going to go with him? That's really, at the end of the day, what pollsters look at very carefully. Are you lying to the pollster, or are you really undecided? Not lying in a nasty way, but are you just saying, you know what, I just don't know because you want to be polite? Or are you really decided that Barack Obama hasn't closed the sale, and therefore you're saying you're undecided, but at the end of the day, which, by the way, historically, undecideds always break to the challenger. Because, they just do. Because if you're undecided,
but I'm not sure that's going to be the case this time, Dave.
And I agree with you. That's the million-dollar question. It's his likability factor, his ability to connect with your average American voter is just that. It's the million-dollar question. So look, I'm doing what I can to educate the American people over what I consider his failed record. The Hope and the Change is our film. It's about 40 Democrats and independents who all voted. Every single one of them voted for Barack Obama in 2008. And this film is a reflection of what we consider all independent and Democrat voters who made up what we call the Reagan coalition back in the 80s, which is those conservative Democrats and independents who put you over the top. And that's really what Barack Obama is trying to go to. That's what conversation we're having here. And The Hope and the Change is our film that really articulates their disappointment, their disillusionment. And I think that's really what this election is going to be all about.
All right, David, I have to ask you, you still live in the D.C. area, right?
I do. I live in Montgomery County, Maryland.
All right, you do live in Montgomery County. I always thought it would be great if Republicans could compare and contrast what is happening in Virginia with what is going on in Maryland. And if you look at that on a local basis and take it out nationally, you say, wow, they're not raising taxes in Virginia, and they have money to spend, and they are raising taxes in Maryland, and they don't have any money to spend.
Look. At the end of the day, look, that's exactly right. I get people look at me like I got three heads, that I'm living in Maryland. They're like, why are you doing that? You're giving your money away to these people, to the state of Maryland. The reality is, it's not a taxing problem. It's a spending problem in both states and federally. I mean, it's a matter of whether the state is going to take seriously its financial obligations to all the citizens. And what happens is they play class warfare. Martin O'Malley, is an outrage. His policies are far left. I think this guy is setting himself up, obviously, to try to run nationally for higher office, and I think that his record will end up coming home to roost on a national level because people will reject it. In Maryland, people like it.
Yeah,
it's so disappointing, to be candid. I don't understand it, and you look at the people that are leaving. You look at Montgomery County. You look at the wealthy people who are in Maryland. They're leaving. They are leaving, and they're leaving in droves, and they have been for many years because Ike Leggett, a hardcore leftist who's destroying the very fabric of the county, in my opinion. I've been a volunteer fireman for 22 years in Montgomery County. Destroyed the volunteer fire department. Single-handedly, Ike Leggett has destroyed it, and he is a union thug, no more, no less. And that's what Maryland's known as, and that's why, to be candid, it's laughed at across the country as not even within the realm of possibility of winning for Republicans.
I never thought you would have stronger opinions on local issues than national opinions. It's good to have you on, and good luck. The documentary, The Hope and the Change, it's out tomorrow at the DNC.